Greetings, weary travelers, fellow story gremlins, and now, apparently, subjects of me, newly appointed Sleepover Gremlin Queen. Welcome back, or welcome to the Reaction Sleepover. This is the series where we get cozy and we react to stuff. We got some more spooky stories today. If you have Today we have more spooky stories that will definitely not keep you up at night. If you have any stories you'd like to share, either email me or there's links in the description, as always. So without further ado, grab your cozies and snackies, and let's head on into it. Alright nerds, let's go. This is Banshee? I like all the question marks. I like the very questioning tone. I too have questions. I feel like that's a common experience though with ghost stories. It's like, I cannot believe this happened. So this happened when my brother and I were teenagers, maybe 13 and 14. Prime haunting ages. You're already having a hard time in school and going through puberty? Bam! Here's a ghost. It's a ghost about going through puberty. You just hear a bunch of voice cracking. Ooh! Beware the acne. We lived in a rural town. Is rural? 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 Is that hard for anyone else to say? A town with a nice mix of busy streets and, at the time, sprawling farms. My family home was the second last house in the last neighborhood before you hit farmland as far as the eye could see. Ah, so you live right next to the abyss, huh? No wonder you're having ghost encounters. It's a field of corn, and all you hear are just a bunch of whispers saying corn over and over. I'd be scared too. To the right of my house, as I'm pointing left, to the right of my house was my neighbor's, then a thick hedgerow, which separated the housing estate from the farm. Estate. Sounds so fancy when you put it that way. The first 5 or 6 fields in this part of the farm grew barley and wheat. Wheat! As kids, we made tunnels through the hedgerow and spent hours every day during the summer exploring the farms with friends. Each field was huge and was separated from the neighboring field by other large hedgerow, some complete with streams running through them. Like streams as in water? Do you have to water bend to get through them? Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. One night my little brother, our 2 best friends, and myself were outside our house playing with a football on the road and skateboarding. As a little kid, I would say oh, I ride skateboard, because I wanted to seem cool, when really I was just rolling down the hill on my stomach. Or my butt. Very extreme. It was about 9:30 at night and quite dark. I wish it's getting dark at 4:30. Remember, we were the second last house on the road in the very last housing estate before it was just barley as far as the eye could see. We were essentially the very edge of town. Anyway, on this night we were hanging out as usual when suddenly we heard an ear-piercing squall. Squall! It's like, what is the bird's name in The Little Mermaid? Where he's wah wah wah. Yes, very squally. Coming from the barley field beside us. Why are you doing kiss the girl here? There's literally no water. They're still trying to do it. They're sitting in the field in the boat. He's trying to scrape his way through the field using the oars. The perfect romance destination. Barley! It was so loud and high-pitched and had a feeling of panic about it, yet kind of funny to our young minds. You're scared yet also excited. We decided to go investigate. You buffoons! You never investigate. First rule of survival, never be curious. Thinking it was a pig or an injured animal of some description. Well, when you put it that way, I gotta say a little Wilbur. So in youthful excitement, we burrow through the hedgerow. I don't know why that description is funny, but I love it. And start running towards the origin of the sound, all laughing, thinking, and excitement. You thought wrong. The barley was ready to be plucked from the earth, so it was high. Up past our waist, so we couldn't see anything that may be on the ground injured. I do not like where that could lead. You get yoinked, and you'll start squalling. As we get close to where the sound is coming from, it suddenly stopped. Excusez-moi? We stop and look at each other laughing. Why are you laughing? There's no laughing matter. Then it starts again, but now it's originating from the point of the field in which we first entered. I'm sorry? We exchange glances in confusion before sprinting toward the sound, believing it must be a scared, injured animal. That fast, though? Especially if it, took a second from it stopping and then starting again. You wouldn't last 2 seconds in a horror movie. No questioning at this point? Then the sound stops before immediately starting again, but directly behind us. Begone, foul beast! On and get the frying pan. This time it sounded ominous, and the feeling changed. The sound then stopped again, starting instantly, but way, way off in the distance. Ew! It moved towards us at speeds way too fast for an animal. Stop it! As it reached us, I hit it with the frying pan. As it reached us, it stopped, and again came from a totally different end of the field, hurtling towards us in pitch black. I forgot it was dark! Now we are frightened. Now? This is not an injured animal. We have no idea what it is. The sound then seemed to stop and start from everywhere. Fellas, We have unwittingly entered a ghost rave. They suddenly all get squished together, not realizing they are in the middle of the mosh pit and it's too late. Moving with incredible speeds all around us, covering huge distances in seconds. Ew! Without saying a word, we all run as fast as possible to the hedgerow, which we entered. All the while, this loud screeching, wailing moves all around us. My younger brother begins crying in fear as we all rush to get back into our neighborhood under streetlights near our home. As soon as we cross the threshold, the high-pitched screaming chasing behind us stopped at the border. It's vampire rules. We were all physically shaken and scared now. My little brother was hysterical for weeks, refusing to go back into the field even during a sunny day. Again, I was literally picturing it as a sunny, nice day. I literally read at the beginning that this was at nighttime. Gah. A few years later, my brother would tragically die suddenly in that house. I'm sorry for your loss. Many strange sightings of a withered woman were reported around those fields over the years. Ugh. Oh yeah, Banshee. Right. Literally the title of the story. If anyone is familiar with the legends of the Banshee, let me know what you think. This occurred in Ireland, as you've probably guessed. I did not. I don't know what I was picturing. My ghost liked a cup of tea. I mean, who wouldn't? I used to live in a share house, eastern suburbs of Melbourne? I think that's the right way to say it. Australia. Nothing special about the place. Very ordinary suburban brick house, probably built in the mid-70s. We knew nothing of its history before moving in. That was your first mistake. My housemate was often away for work for days at a time, and I would be there alone. Your second mistake. Should have gotten a dog. Frequently, I would come home from work to a sensation that I can't explain, other than a feeling someone else had just been there, even when it definitely wasn't the case. Then, on at least 3 occasions, the strangest thing. I would come home and before opening the door, hear the loud sound of our kettle boiling in the kitchen and click off as I walked inside. Like, no, they can't know. That's so funny. As if someone was disturbed and flicked it off. The kettle was hot, boiled water, but absolutely nobody home. I never felt danger or threatened, but that house certainly seemed to have another entity at home there. I love the cottony act, like, no, they must never know. That would be my husband haunting a home. He loves tea. That sounds like an adorable and cozy ghost. Would fit right in here. My grandfather's farm. This story happened 2 years ago on my now gone grandfather's farm. Before I start talking about the story, I'm going to give description of the farm. We have a big wooden house and 2 sheds at the back of the building, and at least half a football field-sized grass field that ends in with the woods, and on the left side of the building there are some deep woods that go on for a bit. That's a big field. Front of the building is different crops, had corn, carrots, some apple trees, and my grandfather's tomato garden, and some animals too. Rabbits, chickens, and 2 livestock guardians. It's Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's just a bunch of livestock. Dogs on the right side, a small building to hold our tractor, and some other vehicles that can fit in there. What I first saw on the farm, it didn't feel right. Felt like I was being watched, but that feeling faded away after some time. Did what I could to help on the farm, and one morning found out that one of the dogs was bloody. No! And had a broken paw! Who hurt that sweet baby? Time to go to war. I told my grandfather, and he went to the vet with the dog. After some time, I checked in on the rabbit areas where the rabbits were looking like war? I mean, the rabbits are getting ready for war, you know, to avenge the dog. Because that's family. You don't mess with family. I'm not entirely sure what the sentence means. The rabbits look like war. Our rabbit's leg there at ear on the fence. Ooh. Called my grandfather right after that and said what I see. He was angry. He lost 3 rabbits to some unknown animal. Me and my grandfather were thinking about it. What could it be? A black bear? A brown bear? A wolf? We didn't know. My grandfather had an idea. 2 buddies of his who had some trail cameras and asked to borrow them for a bit. Grandfather set up 2 in the animal area, 1 in the garden and 1 from the house pointing towards the apple trees and cornfield, and 2 at the back of the building. 4 days went by and got the dog back. Yay! Had a cast on. I hope you signed it. Just signed, I love you, buddy. And was held inside for some while. I believe it was in the middle of the summer. My friends Carl, Jake, Mike, Jacob called me and said, could we come over and do a small camping trip in the woods near Grandpa's farm? I asked my grandpa and said it was okay. So the next day, me and my friends got ready to go camping, but my grandfather stopped us and dragged me inside for a minute to hand me some of his shotguns. Great. I'm picturing this as like maybe a teenager and just like, okay, Grandpa. He handed me one of his shotguns, the double barrel, and said be careful. Look out for bears while handing me like 9 to 10 shotgun shells. After that, I put the double barrel on my back and headed off to the woods with my friends on the camping trip. We were not so deep in the woods, I could barely see the building and the 2 sheds. Not disconcerting at all. When we picked the spot we wanted, we unpacked. One of my 4 friends, Mike, started to set up one of the giant tents where you could stand inside and not touch the top. Oh, that's fun. So bougie. After that, we created a fire pit, and then me and Jacob started the fire, standing back while the fire started. After that, Jake pulled out some of the food and drinks, some colas and waters with some meats and sweets too. Meats and sweets. That'd be a fun, like, butcher and candy shop, because that's a great combo. Meats and sweets. After that, we cooked some food, talked, and had a good time. Sometimes we heard something around us, but thought nothing of it until Mike said, "I think I see a bear." Ah.
I'm in danger!
Which reminded me about the gun that I forgot on my back. Took it off my back and loaded it with 2 shells, and looked around to see the animals running away. Now it was a deer. After that, we had some laughs and whatnot, and it started to get dark. So 2 of my friends went to sleep while me and Jake and Carl were up talking about school and what we have done in the summer. So we walked around just to see a deer just like, don't mind me, just chewing some grass. And you're like, so sorry, have a good day. And then we just heard the loudest twig ever snap from deeper in the woods. I like the way you're like the biggest twig, it's just a log. The sound just echoed for a bit, and after that the forest went silent. All right, camping trip over. And then Jacob and Mike woke up, came out, and asked what that was. I said it was a twig snapping by some animal, but the more twigs started to snap, but the sound of it came closer. So Jacob went into the tent, grabbing one of those high-power flashlights, and came out and scanned the woods for a bit. It's just the deer again. You flash a light at it and it's just like, until we heard more twigs snap from one direction. So I took the gun and took out a headlamp and started to scan the forest, gun pointed towards the darkness. Something was coming closer to us, so I did a warning shot into the air, and here from multiple directions something just run away. I'm sorry, multiple directions? If something was running away, what? After that, we calmed down, sat down, and pulled out a radio, one of those handheld ones, you know, and start to play some music. 2 hours later, we hear again twig snaps, but this time it sounded like it was from multiple directions. What is this synchronized dancing? Because you pissed off that one deer, now they're all in a circle all around your campsite. They're like 1, 2, 3, snap! And we started to scan the woods, hear the twig snapping gets louder, and then hear as my friend screams, "What the F is that?" And I look towards the area where the flashlight's moving. I see a glimpse of some kind of thing running. That is not descriptive enough. What? Was it on 2 legs? Was it on 4? Give me more information. I flick the gun towards the area where I think it is and shoot. It hit something. It sounded like a fox if it would have very deep vocal cords screaming like a demon from hell. Forgot to breathe there for a second. I'm sorry. Like a fox, but with a deep voice? That's when we all just run from the grass fields, leaving our stuff behind. When we got to the grass field, we still heard whatever it was in the woods, seeing something past the not so well burning fire. So I put 2 new shells into the gun and fired while screaming at the top of my lungs, "Leave this property or I'm gonna call the cops." I see my grandfather at one of the sheds with my friend holding a phone to his ear talking to 911 while holding a hunting rifle in another hand. I backed up all the way to the shed, scared for my life. Then my grandpa says everything's gonna be fine. I called the cops. It was all just a ruse for all the deer to take over your campsite. Once you all left because you left everything behind, they were like, "Sweet, the campsite is ours now." After that day, my parents came, picked me up, and went home. Some days later, my grandpa caught a glimpse of the thing on the trail cameras moving to the cornfield and the other camera of something peeking out from behind the shed far away. Ugh. Grandpa believed it's some kind of wolf pack or coyotes that was terrorizing us in the farm and no more. Yeah, right. It was the deer. It was the deer. It were the deer. They wanted your stuff, and they succeeded. Raccoons got nothing on deer. I'm on to you. I don't know. Heard from my dad that Grandpa asked some of his hunting buddies over to watch over the property. After that, nothing really happened. I'm telling you, it was just a ruse from those deer. They're sitting there eating all your meats and sweets. I know they're vegetarian. Shh. Alright pals, that's gonna be it for today. I hope you're doing well, but if not, I hope this video has brightened your day at least a little bit. As always, I really appreciate you being here and giving the channel some love. And once again, if you have any stories you'd like to share, spooky or otherwise, you can either email me or there's links in the description. And that is it, my gremlins. Take care of yourselves and each other, do your best to be a good human, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!